Welcome to the Whispering Tome.
Close your eyes and step back in time to an age of honor, discipline, and the way of the warrior. Welcome to feudal Japan during the height of the Edo period in the year 1650. You are about to experience a complete day in the life of a samurai, from the first light of dawn until the peaceful darkness of night. The samurai were not merely warriors. They were the embodiment of a philosophy, a way of life known as BUSHIDO, the way of the warrior. This code demanded absolute loyalty, unflinching courage, and a profound sense of honor that transcended even death itself. To be samurai was to live every moment with purpose, to see beauty in discipline, and to find peace in preparation for the ultimate sacrifice. Our journey today takes us to the castle town of a mid-ranking samurai named Takeda Masanori. He serves a powerful daimyo, a feudal lord who controls a prosperous domain in central Japan. Masanori is not a great general or legendary swordsman whose name will echo through the centuries. He is, instead, a reflection of the thousands of samurai who formed the backbone of feudal Japanese society. Men who trained relentlessly, served faithfully, and lived by a code that shaped an entire civilization. As dawn breaks over the tiled roofs and wooden walls of the castle town, mist rises from the rice paddies beyond the outer moats. The air carries the scent of cherry blossoms from the Lord's garden, mixed with wood smoke from the morning cooking fires. In the distance, a temple bell rings out, marking the hour of the rabbit according to the traditional timekeeping system. This sound, resonating across the awakening town, is the signal that our day begins. Prepare yourself to walk in the footsteps of a samurai, feel the weight of his responsibilities, understand the depth of his training, and witness the rituals that gave meaning to his existence. This is not a story of grand battles or dramatic duels. This is something more and more profound. This is the daily reality of a life devoted entirely to duty, honor, and the perfection of one's character. Let the journey begin. Chapter 1. Dawn Awakening, 3 a.m. to 15 a.m. The first hint of morning light filters through the paper screens of the shoji doors, casting a soft, diffused glow across the tatami mat floor. Takeda Masanori's eyes open at precisely the same moment they have opened every morning for the past 20 years. He requires no attendant to wake him, no alarm or bell. His body has been trained to rise at the hour of the rabbit, just as the temple bell begins its morning call. He lies still for a moment on his thin futon, the only sound his controlled breathing. The room is austere, as befits a samurai of his rank. The walls are bare except for a single scroll hanging in the tokonoma alcove, displaying a piece of calligraphy that reads, "Fall 7 times, stand up 8. This proverb, a gift from his teacher many years ago, has guided him through countless difficulties. His swords rest on a lacquered stand near his sleeping area, always within arm's reach. The katana and wakizashi, collectively known as the daisho, or big little pair, are more than weapons. They are the soul of the samurai, and to be separated from them is to be stripped of one's very identity. Even in sleep, Masanori maintains an awareness of their presence, a warrior's instinct that never truly rests. Rising from his futon in a single fluid motion, Masanori sits in seiza position, kneeling with his back perfectly straight and his hands resting on his thighs. This posture, maintained for several minutes each morning, is both meditation and discipline. It centers his mind, aligns his spirit, and prepares him for the day ahead. His breathing deepens and slows, following the pattern taught to him by his Zen master, drawing air deep into his belly before releasing it in measured exhalations. As he meditates, his mind reviews the obligations of the day. He must attend the morning audience at the castle, where the daimyo receives reports from his retainers. There is his daily weapons practice, which can never be neglected, regardless of other duties. He has administrative responsibilities as well, overseeing the tax collection from several villages in his lord's domain. And tonight, if time permits, he hopes to practice his calligraphy, an art he finds brings balance to the martial aspects of his life. But first, there is the morning ritual of preparation. Masanori rises and carefully folds his futon and bedding, storing them in the same precision he brings to every action. In the way of the samurai, there are no trivial tasks. How one makes one's bed reflects how one lives one's life. Carelessness in small matters leads to failure in great ones. He moves to a small basin of water that was prepared the night before. The water is cold, shocking against his skin as he splashes his face. This, too, is intentional. The cold awakens not just the body, but the spirit, sharpening awareness and dispelling any remaining traces of sleep. He cleanses his hands and rinses his mouth, performing each action with mindful attention. Next comes the grooming ritual. Masanori's hair is worn in the traditional chanmaje style, with the crown of the head shaved and the remaining hair grown long and tied into a topknot. This distinctive hairstyle serves multiple purposes. It allows for better ventilation when wearing a helmet, prevents hair from falling into the eyes during combat, and serves as an immediate visual indicator of samurai status. He carefully applies a small amount of camellia oil to keep the hair glossy and properly shaped. The process of dressing is itself a ritual, each garment donned in a specific order and manner. First, the fundoshi, a traditional loincloth that provides essential support and mobility. Then the juban, a thin undergarment made of cotton. Over this goes the kosode, a kimono-like garment, followed by the hakama, the distinctive wide-legged trousers that are the mark of a samurai. The hakama itself has deep symbolic meaning. Its 7 pleats represent the 7 virtues of Bushido: integrity, respect, courage, honor, compassion, honesty, and loyalty. As Masanori ties the hakama around his waist, adjusting it so that it hangs with perfect symmetry, he mentally recites these virtues, reminding himself of the standards to which he must hold himself. His clothing is simple, but of good quality. Unlike the more flamboyant styles of earlier periods, the Edo era favors restraints and practicality. The colors are subdued, dark blues and grays, with a small family crest, or mon, displayed on the back and shoulders. This crest, depicting a stylized pine tree, has been the symbol of the Takeda family for generations, a mark of lineage and honor. Finally, he approaches the sword stand. This moment requires the greatest reverence. He first takes the wakizashi, the shorter sword, and carefully inserts it through his obi sash on the left side, edge facing upward. Then comes the katana, positioned in front of the wakizashi, also edge upward. The positioning is not random. It allows for the quickest possible draw, a technique called iai jutsu that Masanori has practiced thousands upon thousands of times. As he secures his swords, Masanori bows briefly to them, a gesture of respect for the weapons that define his status and, if necessary, will defend his honor and his lord. The swords were crafted by a master swordsmith from Bizen province, a region famous for its blade-making tradition. The process of creating each sword took months, involving repeated folding and hammering of steel to create a blade of extraordinary strength and sharpness. The subtle curve of the katana, the pattern visible in the steel, called the haman, the careful wrapping of the handle, all represent countless hours of dedicated craftsmanship. Now fully dressed and armed, Masanori slides open the shoji screen and steps out onto the engawa, the wooden veranda that surrounds his modest house. The morning air is crisp and clean, carrying the scent of pine from the nearby forest. The sky is beginning to lighten in the east, bands of pink and gold spreading across the horizon. Birds are beginning their morning songs, and somewhere in the distance, he can hear the sound of a water wheel turning in the stream that flows through the lower town. His home is located in the Samurai Quarter, a section of the castle town reserved for warriors and their families. The houses here are modest but well-maintained, each surrounded by a small garden. Masanori's garden, though simple, is carefully tended. A stone lantern stands beside a small pond where several koi swim lazily beneath the surface. A carefully pruned pine tree, shaped over years of patient work, provides a focal point for contemplation. The garden represents the ideal of finding natural beauty within controlled space, a reflection of the samurai's own life, bounded by duty and discipline, yet striving for inner harmony. From his veranda, Masanori can see several of his neighbors beginning their own morning routines. To the east, old Yamamoto-san, a retired samurai who served with distinction in the campaigns of his youth, is already practicing his sword forms, his movements still precise despite his advanced years. To the west, Nakamoto-san is carefully sweeping the approach to his home, removing the few leaves that have fallen during the night. Each motion is deliberate, mindful, a form of moving meditation. Masanori steps down from the veranda and walks to a small outdoor area where several training implements are stored. Here stands a makiwara, a striking post wrapped in straw rope used for conditioning the fists and developing striking power. Beside it hangs a suburi-baken, a wooden practice sword heavier than a real katana, used for building strength and endurance. He begins his morning practice with basic kata, the prescribed forms that have been passed down through generations of swordsmen. His teacher's voice echoes in his memory. The kata are not mere exercises. They are the accumulated wisdom of countless warriors who came before you. Each movement has been tested in combat, refined through experience, and preserved for your benefit. Practice them with reverence and understanding. His baken cuts through the morning air with a sharp whistle. The movements appear simple, but contain profound complexity. Each strike originates not from the arms, but from the hips, powered by the entire body moving as one coordinated unit. The feet placement is precise, maintaining balance while allowing instant direction changes. The breathing is synchronized with the movements, exhaling sharply with each cut, a technique called kiai that focuses energy and intimidates opponents. Sweat begins to form on his brow as he continues through the sequence. 100 vertical cuts, coming from different angles and elevations. 50 horizontal cuts, precisely controlled to stop at the exact same point each time. Thrust, withdraw, turn, cut again. The routine is grueling, but Masanori's face shows no strain, only focused concentration. As he practices, his mind is not wandering, but intensely present. This is mokuso, meditation in motion, where the sword becomes an extension of his will, and his movements become automatic, flowing from trained muscle memory rather than conscious thought. This state, which his Zen teacher calls mushin, or no mind, is the ultimate goal of martial training. In combat, there is no time for thought, only instant reaction born from thousands of hours of practice. After completing his sword forms, Masanori moves to the makiwara for striking practice. His fists, though not as heavily calloused as those of peasant laborers, are nonetheless toughened from years of conditioning. He strikes the post with controlled force, focusing on proper technique rather than raw power. The impact should come from the rotation of the hips, the fist forming a solid connection at the moment of impact, then immediately withdrawing for the next strike. 50 strikes with the right fist, 50 with the left, then again and again until his arms burn with fatigue. But fatigue is merely a sensation to be acknowledged and then pushed past. Masanori's teacher once told him, "The body will give in long before the spirit, if the spirit is properly trained. When your arms say they cannot continue, that is when the true practice begins." As he finishes his striking practice, the sun has fully risen above the horizon, painting the castle walls with golden light. The town is now fully awake. He can hear the sounds of merchants opening their shops, servants beginning their duties, and children's voices as they start their day. But in the samurai quarter, a certain quiet dignity prevails. Voices are not raised unnecessarily. Movements remain controlled and purposeful. Masanori returns to his home to find that his wife, Ayame, has prepared the morning meal. She kneels beside a low table where simple dishes have been arranged with artistic care. There is a bowl of rice, miso soup with tofu and scallions, pickled vegetables, and a small portion of grilled fish. The meal is not elaborate, but it is nutritious and prepared with attention to detail. Before eating, Masanori pauses to offer gratitude. "Itadakimasu," he says quietly, an expression that acknowledges the life that was given so that he might eat, the effort of those who prepared the food, and the fortune that allows him to have a meal when many in the world go hungry. He eats slowly, mindfully, appreciating each flavor and texture. Eating, like every other action, should be performed with full attention. To rush through a meal, to eat while distracted or thinking of other matters, is to fail to honor the present moment. Ayame kneels nearby, but does not eat with him, as is the custom. She will take her meal after he has departed for his duties. They speak little during this time, but their silence is comfortable, born of many years of marriage and mutual understanding. Ayame understands the weight of her husband's responsibilities, the constant presence of duty that shapes every aspect of his life. Their marriage was arranged by their families, as is customary among samurai, but over the years, genuine affection has developed between them. Ayame is the daughter of another samurai family, raised from childhood to become the wife of a warrior. She manages the household with quiet efficiency, maintains social connections with other samurai families, and serves as a source of peace in Masanori's disciplined but demanding life. They have 2 children. Their son, Takeshi, is 14 years old and has recently begun his formal training as a samurai, apprenticed to one of the Lord's senior retainers. Their daughter, Hanako, is 10 and is learning the arts appropriate to a young woman of samurai class: tea ceremony, flower arrangement, calligraphy, and music. Both children understand from an early age that they carry the weight of the family name and must conduct themselves with honor. As Masanori finishes his meal, Ayame brings him a cup of tea. The tea is hot but not scalding, the flavor clean and slightly bitter. He savors it slowly, allowing the warmth to spread through his body. Tea drinking, particularly in its formal ceremony version, is considered an important accomplishment for a samurai. It represents refinement, patience, and the ability to find tranquility in simple acts. "The morning is beautiful," Ayame observes quietly. "The cherry blossoms will be at their peak in a few more days." Masanori nods. "Perhaps, if my duties allow, we might walk in the Lord's garden when they are in full bloom." "That would be pleasant," Ayame replies. Such simple exchanges make up the fabric of their daily life. Grand declarations of affection are not the samurai way. Instead, consideration shows itself through small gestures, thoughtful attention to another's comfort, and the reliable performance of one's duties within the family structure. As the morning progresses toward the hour when he must depart for the castle, Masanori performs a final check of his appearance. His clothing is properly arranged with no wrinkles or improper folds. His swords are secured correctly. His hair is neat and in place. The samurai must always present himself with dignity, as his appearance reflects not only on himself, but on his lord, his family, and all the warriors of his class. "I am leaving," he announces, standing at the entrance to his home. "Please take care," Ayame responds, bowing respectfully. He steps out into the morning, closing the door carefully behind him. The sun is now well above the horizon, and the day's warmth is beginning to spread. As he walks toward the castle, joining other samurai on the same morning journey, Takeda Masanori carries with him the weight of his ancestors, the expectations of his lord, and the responsibility of maintaining the honor that has been passed down through generations. This is not merely another day. This is another opportunity to live in accordance with the way of the warrior, to prove through his actions that he is worthy of the name samurai. The morning has begun, and duty calls. Chapter 2. The Castle Audience, 1500 to 3000. The walk to the castle takes Masanori through the heart of the samurai quarter, along streets carefully maintained and meticulously clean. Unlike the commercial districts where merchants and craftsmen live in closer quarters, the samurai residences are spread with more space between them, each surrounded by walls and gardens that provide privacy and dignity appropriate to warrior status. As Masanori walks, he is joined by other samurai making the same morning journey. They exchange brief bows of acknowledgement, but there is little conversation. The morning walk to the castle is a time for mental preparation, for reviewing one's duties and settling one's mind before entering the presence of the Lord. The streets are designed with both beauty and security in mind. They curve and wind rather than running straight, a deliberate choice that makes it impossible for an enemy force to charge directly toward the castle. At several intersections, manned guard posts monitor the flow of traffic. The guards, recognizing Masanori as an approved retainer, bow respectfully as he passes. The castle itself rises in the distance, an imposing structure of wood and stone that dominates the landscape. The main keep, or tenshu, towers several stories high, its distinctive curved roofs layered in an elegant but intimidating display of architectural mastery. The white plastered walls gleam in the morning sunlight, earning such structures their common description as white herons for their resemblance to the graceful birds. But the castle is not merely beautiful. It is a sophisticated military installation designed to withstand siege and assault. The walls are thick, punctuated with narrow openings called sama, from which defenders can fire arrows or guns while remaining protected. The approaches to the castle wind through multiple gates and courtyards, each one a potential kill zone for any attacking force. The stonework at the base rises at steep angles, making scaling nearly impossible. As Masanori approaches the outer moat, he crosses a sturdy wooden bridge under the watchful eyes of the gate guards. These men, ashigaru, or foot soldiers of peasant origin, wear simpler armor than samurai, but are trained and disciplined soldiers nonetheless. They check each person entering, though they know Masanori by sight, and quickly allow him to pass with a respectful bow. The castle itself rises in the distance, an imposing structure of wood and stone that dominates the landscape. The main keep, or tenshu, towers several stories high, its distinctive curved roofs layered in an elegant but intimidating display of architectural mastery. The white plastered walls gleam in the morning sunlight, earning such structures their common description as white herons for their resemblance to the graceful birds. But the castle is not merely beautiful. It is a sophisticated military installation designed to withstand siege and assault. The walls are thick, punctuated with narrow openings called sama, from which defenders can fire arrows or guns while remaining protected. The approaches to the castle wind through multiple gates and courtyards, each one a potential kill zone for any attacking force. The stonework at the base rises at steep angles, making scaling nearly impossible. As Masanori approaches the outer moat, he crosses a sturdy wooden bridge under the watchful eyes of the gate guards. These men, ashigaru, or foot soldiers of peasant origin, wear simpler armor than samurai, but are trained and disciplined soldiers nonetheless. They check each person entering, though they know Masanori by sight, and quickly allow him to pass with a respectful bow. Beyond the first gate lies the outer bailey, a large courtyard where various administrative buildings stand. Here, the daily business of governing the domain is conducted. Tax collectors maintain their offices, record keepers preserve documents, and lower-ranking officials handle the countless details required to manage thousands of people and vast tracts of land. Masanori continues through this area, passing through a second gate that leads to the middle bailey. This area is reserved for higher-ranking samurai and important functions. The architecture here is more refined, the gardens more carefully maintained. Stone lanterns line the walkways, and ancient pine trees provide shade and an atmosphere of permanence and stability. Finally, he reaches the inner gate, the entrance to the heart of the castle, where the daimyo's residential quarters and the main audience hall are located. The guards here are senior samurai, men whose skill and loyalty are beyond question. They wear finer armor than the outer guards, and their swords are works of art as well as weapons. Masanori removes his sandals at the entrance to the audience hall, as is required. He has already verified that his swords are properly positioned and that his clothing is correctly arranged. Entering the presence of the Lord with any aspect of one's appearance in disorder would be a serious breach of etiquette. The audience hall is a large room with tatami mat flooring and elegant wooden pillars supporting the ceiling. At the far end, raised on a low platform, sits the daimyo's seat. The walls are decorated with painted screens depicting landscapes and historical scenes. The overall effect is one of understated elegance, projecting power through refinement rather than ostentation. Approximately 40 samurai are already kneeling in precise rows when Masanori enters. He takes his assigned position based on his rank and role within the domain's administration. The atmosphere is one of focused attention and respectful silence. Every man present understands the importance of proper decorum in the Lord's presence. The daimyo has not yet entered, but his senior advisor, a gray-haired samurai named Saito Nobuhide, stands near the platform. Nobuhide has served the domain for more than 40 years, surviving multiple succession crises and political upheavals through a combination of competence, loyalty, and political acumen. His presence commands respect from all who know him. A sharp clap of hands signals the Lord's approach. Every samurai in the room immediately assumes the formal seiza position, back straight, hands resting on thighs, heads bowed respectfully. The rustle of silk and footsteps announce the daimyo's entrance. "You may raise your heads," comes the command after he has taken his seat. The daimyo, Lord Matsudaya Tadayoshi, is a man in his early 50s, the hereditary ruler of a domain that has been in his family's control for over 2 centuries. He wears formal attire, a silk kimono bearing the family crest, and his bearing is of natural authority. He is known as a fair but demanding lord, one who rewards competence and punishes failure without hesitation. "The morning reports," Tadayoshi says simply. Saito Nobuhide steps forward and bows. "My lord, the autumn rice harvest from the eastern villages exceeds expectations by 12%. The excess has been properly stored against future need." "Good. Continue monitoring the storage facilities. Ensure no spoilage occurs through negligence." "It shall be done, my lord." Another samurai, the military commander, rises to give his report. "My lord, the monthly inspection of the domain's borders reveals no unusual activity. All guard posts are properly manned and supplied. Training exercises for the Ashigaru companies continue on schedule." "Are the men adequately provisioned as winter approaches?" "Yes, my lord. The quartermasters report sufficient supplies, and additional provisions have been ordered to account for the season." "Ensure they remain warm and well-fed. A miserable soldier is a poor defender. Your wisdom guides us, my lord." The reports continue, each retainer standing in turn to present information on his area of responsibility: agricultural production, road maintenance, bridge repairs, tax collection, judicial matters, trade arrangements with neighboring domains. The business of governance is detailed and complex, requiring constant attention and coordination. When it comes to Masanari's turn, he rises smoothly and bows. "My lord, the villages under my supervision have completed their tax payments in full. The quality of the rice is excellent this year. Additionally, the dispute between 2 farming families over water rights has been resolved according to your lord's guidance." "What was your judgment in this dispute?" "The older family's claim was historically documented, but I also arranged for improved water management that benefits both parties. The solution preserves tradition while preventing future conflict." Tadayoshi nods slightly, the barest gesture of approval, but one that Masanori recognizes as high praise. The Lord values officials who solve problems rather than merely enforcing rigid rules. "Your approach shows wisdom, Takeda-san. Continue in this manner." "I am honored by your lordship's words," Masanori responds, bowing deeply before returning to his position. The audience continues for more than an hour, as every aspect of the domain's administration is reviewed. This daily ritual serves multiple purposes. It keeps the Lord informed of developments throughout his territory, ensures accountability among his retainers, and demonstrates his active involvement in governance. A distant or disengaged lord invites plotting and inefficiency among his subordinates. When the formal reports are complete, Tadayoshi addresses the assembled samurai on a matter of broader significance. "You are all aware that the Tokugawa shogunate has maintained peace throughout our land for nearly 50 years. This peace is a precious thing, earned through the wisdom of the great shogun and the loyalty of domains such as ours." Every head nods in understanding. The Tokugawa victory at the Battle of Sekigahara decades ago ended a long period of civil war and established a governmental system that brought unprecedented stability to Japan. However, the Lord continues, his voice taking on a harder edge, Peace should not be confused with complacency. Our ancestors were forged in battle. We must ensure that our generation does not grow soft in comfort. Training must continue. Discipline must be maintained. The skills of warfare must not be allowed to atrophy. This is a common concern among the samurai class. In the absence of active warfare, there is fear that martial skills might decline, that future generations might prove inferior to the warriors of old. To counter this, elaborate training regimens, martial arts schools, and regular competitions are maintained throughout the country. Therefore, Tadayoshi announces, 1 month from today, we will hold a domain-wide martial arts demonstration. All samurai will participate, displaying their skills in archery, swordsmanship, and spearfighting. This will serve both as training and as entertainment for the townspeople, reminding them of the warrior spirit that protects them. A murmur of interest runs through the assembled samurai. Such demonstrations are major events, opportunities to display skill and potentially earn recognition and advancement. They are also, inevitably, venues where reputations can be made or broken. Prepare yourselves accordingly, the Lord continues. I expect each of you to represent our domain with skill and honor. Let no one say that Matsudaira retainers have grown weak in peace. We hear and obey, my lord, the samurai respond in unison. With the announcement made, Tadayoshi rises to signal the end of the audience. All samurai bow deeply, maintaining their positions until the lord has departed the hall. Then, with disciplined order, they rise and begin to file out, each maintaining proper etiquette and awareness of their position relative to others. As Masanori leaves the audience hall, he finds himself walking alongside Sato Hideaki, a fellow mid-ranking samurai who serves as an administrator in a different section of the domain. They have known each other since childhood, having trained together under the same swordmaster. A martial arts demonstration, Hideaki comments quietly once they are away from the formal spaces. It has been several years since the last one. Indeed, Masanori agrees, it will require considerable preparation. Your swordsmanship remains sharp. I practice daily, but a demonstration before the Lord and the entire domain is a different matter. There is no room for error or mediocrity. Nor for any of us, Hideaki replies. We must represent our training and our teachers well. They walk in comfortable silence for a moment before Hideaki speaks again. Will your son participate? Takeshi is still in training, but his master may allow him to demonstrate basic forms with the young samurai. It would be valuable experience for him. My son as well. This new generation must learn not just the techniques, but the pressure of public performance. That is when true character reveals itself. This is a fundamental belief among samurai. Training in privacy is necessary, but insufficient. One must be able to perform under pressure, before critical observers, when the stakes are real. As they reach the point where their paths diverge, Hideaki bows respectfully. I must attend to my duties. Perhaps we might practice together before the demonstration. I would welcome that, Masanori responds, returning the bow. Training with a skilled partner always reveals weaknesses one might not notice alone. With that, they part ways, each returning to the duties and responsibilities that fill a samurai's day. The morning audience has concluded, but the day's work has barely begun. Chapter 3, Administrative Duties, 3000 to 4800. From the castle, Masanori makes his way to the administrative building where he maintains his office. This structure, located in the outer bailey, houses numerous officials responsible for various aspects of domain management. The building itself is well constructed, but functional rather than elegant, reflecting its practical purpose. His office is a modest room with a low desk, storage cabinets for documents, and a small alcove where he can receive visitors. The walls are plain, except for a hanging scroll with calligraphy that reads, "Loyalty and Diligence." The room is kept meticulously organized, every document filed properly, every writing implement in its designated place. Masanori's primary responsibility within the domain administration is overseeing tax collection and dispute resolution for several agricultural villages. This role, while not as glamorous as military command or as prestigious as serving as a direct advisor to the Lord, is absolutely critical to the functioning of the domain. The rice collected as taxes feeds the samurai class, the artisans, and the administrators. It is stored against famine and used as currency in transactions both within and outside the domain. He begins his work by reviewing the records maintained by his assistant, Kobayashi Juniachi, a lower-ranking samurai who manages the day-to-day paperwork. Juniachi is young, in his mid-20s, and is learning the administrative arts under Masanori's guidance. The ability to read, write, and manage complex records is essential for samurai who aspire to positions of authority. "Good morning, Takedo-sama." Juniachi greets him with a respectful bow. "Good morning, Kobayashi-san. What matters require attention today?" Juniachi consults a carefully maintained ledger. A delegation from Yamada Village has requested an audience regarding this year's tax assessment. They claim that storm damage reduced their harvest below normal levels and request consideration for a reduction. This is a common situation and one that requires careful judgment. Masanori must balance compassion for genuine hardship against the need to maintain adequate tax revenue and prevent false claims that could set undesirable precedents. The art of administration lies in fair but firm judgment. When do they arrive? Within the hour, Takedo-sama. Good. Prepare the relevant records of their previous assessments and any reports of weather conditions in their area. I want to see their historical productivity and any documentation of the storm damage. "It shall be done immediately," Juniachi responds, bowing before quickly gathering the necessary documents. While his assistant prepares the materials, Masanori takes time to review correspondence from other officials. There is a letter from a neighboring district administrator proposing a coordinated approach to road maintenance that would benefit both their areas. Another message concerns a minor boundary dispute between two villages that needs resolution before it escalates into a more serious conflict. He also reviews a report from the village headman of Higashi Village, praising the behavior and diligence of the tax collectors who recently visited. Such positive reports are important. They indicate that the Lord's representatives are conducting themselves properly, treating the peasants fairly while still collecting what is due. Abuse by tax collectors can lead to resentment, reduced productivity, and even rebellion in extreme cases. Masanori takes up his brush and ink to draft responses to several of these matters. His calligraphy, while not at the level of a true master, is nonetheless clear, elegant, and properly formed. Every samurai learns calligraphy from childhood, as the ability to write well is considered a mark of education and refinement. The brush strokes flow with practiced ease as he composes his replies. The physical act of writing with brush and ink requires patience and focus. Unlike the quick scratching of a quill pen, brush calligraphy demands control, proper breathing, and mental clarity. Each character must be formed with the correct stroke order and balance. A rushed or careless hand produces ugly, malformed writing that brings shame to the writer. As he works, Masanori is aware of the sounds of the building around him. In adjacent offices, other administrators conduct their own work. Voices murmur in discussion, papers rustle, footsteps echo in the corridors. This is the machinery of government in operation, unglamorous but essential. Before long, Juniachi returns with the requested documents and announces the arrival of the delegation from Yamada Village. Masanori arranges the papers before him and assumes a formal seated position as the petitioners are shown into his office. The delegation consists of 3 men: the village headman, an elderly farmer who has held this position for many years, and 2 respected elders whose presence lends weight to the petition. They enter with obvious nervousness, bowing deeply and repeatedly as they approach. The power dynamic is clear and unmistakable. Masanori, as a samurai and official representative of the Lord, holds their fate in his hands. "Please be seated," Masanori instructs, his tone formal but not unkind. The villagers kneel across from him, maintaining respectful postures with their heads bowed. The headman, as spokesman, begins their petition. "Honorable samurai, we come before you with humble hearts to request your merciful consideration. As you know, our village has always striven to fulfill its obligations to our Lord. We take pride in this duty and in our reputation as loyal and productive subjects. I am aware of Yamada Village's record, Masanori confirms, glancing at the documents before him. Your tax payments have been consistent and timely for many years. We are grateful that you recognize this, Honorable One. It is because of our history that we dare to bring this petition before you. 2 months ago, a great storm struck our region. The winds were fierce, and the rain fell as if the heavens themselves had opened. Much of our rice crop, which was nearing harvest, was damaged. Stalks were flattened, and much grain was lost to rot before we could salvage it. I have received reports of storm activity in your region, confirms. He had indeed heard of this weather event, though the details regarding its specific impact on Yamada Village require verification. Our harvest this year is diminished by nearly 1/3 compared to normal years. We have done our utmost to salvage what we could, working day and night, but the loss is severe. If we pay the full tax assessment based on our normal production, many families will face hardship during the winter months. Some of our elderly and children may suffer greatly. The other 2 village elders nod solemnly, their weathered faces showing genuine concern. Masanori considers the matter carefully. He must verify the truth of their claim while also considering the human cost of his decision. This is the burden of administration, balancing competing interests and making judgments that affect people's lives. I understand your situation, he says, measured. However, you must also understand my position. I cannot simply reduce assessments based on verbal claims alone. To do so would invite false petitions from every village seeking to reduce their obligations. The villagers bow even lower, understanding the logic, but clearly anxious. Therefore, Masanori continues, I will send an inspector to your village to verify the extent of the damage and review your harvest records. If your claims are substantiated, I will recommend to the Lord that your assessment be adjusted proportionally to reflect the actual harvest. However, if I find that you have exaggerated the damage, attempting to deceive, the consequences will be severe. We speak only the truth, Honorable Samurai, the headman insists, relief evident in his voice. We welcome your inspector and will provide all evidence he requires. Furthermore, Masanori adds, you should also understand that this adjustment, if granted, is an act of the Lord's benevolence. It is not a right, but a mercy. Your village must redouble its efforts next year to restore full production. Continued shortfalls will not be tolerated indefinitely. We understand completely, Honorable One. We are deeply grateful for your fair consideration. Return to your village and prepare for the inspector's visit within 3 days. Ensure that all records are available and that he is shown every courtesy. The villagers bow deeply, expressing gratitude multiple times, before backing out of the room respectfully. As they depart, Masanori makes notes on the matter and instructs Junichi to arrange for a trustworthy inspector to visit Yamada Village. This is the nature of his work, countless small decisions, each requiring judgment, fairness, and consideration of multiple factors. It is not glorious, but it is how domains are actually governed, how justice is administered, and how the relationship between the ruling class and the common people is maintained. The morning continues with similar matters: a merchant seeking permission to expand his shop, 2 farmers disputing ownership of a small plot of land, a request for funds to repair a bridge damaged by the same storm. Each matter receives Masanori's full attention, each decision carefully considered and properly documented. As midday approaches, Junichi brings tea and a simple meal, rice balls wrapped in seaweed and pickled vegetables. Masanori eats at his desk, reviewing documents even as he takes his meal. The work of administration never truly stops, and there is always more to be done. After finishing his meal and several more administrative tasks, Masanori prepares to depart for the afternoon's activities. He has completed the morning's essential work, but the day is far from over. There are still training obligations, personal duties, and the constant requirement to maintain his skills and readiness as a warrior. Before leaving, he reviews tomorrow's schedule with Junichi, ensuring that all necessary preparations are made for upcoming meetings and inspections. Organization and planning are essential to effective administration. A samurai who manages his duties poorly brings shame upon himself and his lord. Continue with the document preparations we discussed, Masanori instructs. I will return tomorrow morning to review them. Yes, Takeda-sama, please have a good afternoon, Junichi responds with a respectful bow. Masanori departs the administrative building and begins making his way toward the training grounds, where the afternoon's martial practice awaits. The transition from administrative work to martial training is a necessary part of the samurai's day. He must maintain expertise in both the arts of peace and the arts of war, never allowing either to overshadow the other. The sun is now high overhead, and the day's warmth has increased significantly. But a true warrior does not allow comfort or discomfort to dictate his actions. Whether in heat or cold, rain or shine, training must continue. The enemy does not wait for perfect conditions, and neither should a samurai's preparation. Chapter 4, Martial Training, 4800 to 7000. The training grounds are located in a large open area within the castle's outer bailey. Here, samurai gather daily to maintain and improve their martial skills. The grounds include an archery range, spaces for sword practice, areas for spear training, and facilities for practicing with various other weapons traditional to the samurai arsenal. As Masanori arrives, he sees that perhaps 20 other samurai are already present, engaged in various forms of practice. Some are practicing kata with swords, their movements precise and controlled. Others are at the archery range, the rhythmic twang of bowstrings punctuating the afternoon air. Still others are engaged in paired training, practicing techniques with partners under the watchful eyes of senior instructors. The atmosphere here is serious and focused, quite different from the administrative environment Masanori does left. Here, there is no room for half measures or distraction. A mistake in paperwork can be corrected. A mistake with a blade can cost one's life, or, in training, cause injury and shame. Masanori first makes his way to the weapons storage building to retrieve his training equipment. While he carries his actual swords at all times, training with live blades would be unnecessarily dangerous for practice sessions. Instead, he takes a bakken, a wooden practice sword carved to simulate the weight and balance of a real katana, but without the lethal edge. He also retrieves his training armor, a simplified version of battle armor consisting of padded protection for the torso, forearms, and head. While not as comprehensive as full combat armor, it provides essential protection during vigorous training. His first activity is solo kata practice. He finds an open space away from other practitioners and begins the sequence of forms he has practiced thousands of times throughout his life. These kata, passed down through his sword school for generations, embody the fundamental principles of swordsmanship. Each kata tells a story, representing a specific combat scenario. The first form, for instance, simulates defending against an overhead attack from an opponent. Masanori's wooden sword rises in a defensive block, then flows immediately into a counterattack, a horizontal cut aimed at the opponent's torso. His body rotates with the cut, his feet adjusting position to maintain balance and enable a quick follow-up if needed. The second form addresses an attack from the left side. His response is a circular parry that deflects the incoming blade while simultaneously positioning his own sword for a thrust to the opponent's center. Again, the movement is fluid, each part flowing naturally into the next without hesitation or wasted motion. As he continues through the sequence, Masanori's mind enters that state of focused calm his teacher called mushin, the mind without mind. He is not thinking about each movement, but allowing his body to execute what it has been trained to do. This is the goal of all martial training, to internalize techniques so completely that they become instinctive, requiring no conscious thought. Sweat begins to flow freely as he continues. The afternoon sun beats down, and the physical exertion is considerable. His arms burn with fatigue. His legs tremble slightly from maintaining proper stances, but he continues, pushing through the discomfort. This, too, is part of training, learning to perform with excellence even when tired, even when uncomfortable, even when every muscle screams for rest. After completing the full sequence of 15 kata, Masanori pauses to catch his breath and wipe the sweat from his face with a cloth. He drinks water from a small container, allowing himself a brief moment of rest before continuing. His next activity is paired practice with another samurai. Across the training ground, he spots Tanaka Yoshinobu, a fellow mid-ranking warrior known for his technical precision and strong fundamentals. They have trained together many times before and make good partners, each challenging the other to improve. "Tanaka-san," Masanori calls out with a respectful nod, "would you honor me with your time for some paired practice?" "Of course, Takeda-san. I was hoping to find a good partner today." They bow to each other formally before assuming ready positions. The drill they will practice is called Kakari Geiko, where one person attacks continuously while the other defends and counters. This exercise develops reflexes, timing, and the ability to respond instantly to an opponent's movements. Tanaka attacks first, his bokken cutting downward in a committed strike. Masanori's sword rises to meet it, deflecting the attack to the side while simultaneously stepping offline to create an opening for a counter. His counter is controlled, stopping just short of actual contact, enough to demonstrate the technique without causing injury. "Good angle on that counter," Tanaka observes, "but your footwork was slightly wide. It creates an opening on your left side." "You're correct," Masanori acknowledges. "Let me try again." They reset and repeat the exchange. This time, Masanori's footwork is tighter, more economical. The counter comes faster, the opening smaller. "Much better," Tanaka confirms. They continue this way for some time, alternating between attacker and defender, each repetition refining technique and building muscle memory. They practice various scenarios, attacks from different angles, responses to feints, and recoveries from disadvantageous positions. This is how samurai truly learn, not through dramatic duels or battlefield glory, but through countless repetitions of fundamental movements, constant refinement of technique, and honest feedback from skilled training partners. The great swordsmen of history achieved their mastery not through innate talent alone, but through dedication to this kind of unglamorous, demanding practice. After nearly an hour of paired training, both men are exhausted. They bow to each other in mutual respect and thanks for the practice session. "Your technique remains sharp, Takeda-san," Tanaka comments as they rest. "Have you heard about the upcoming martial demonstration?" "Yes, the Lord announced it this morning at the audience. It will be an excellent opportunity, though also considerable pressure. The entire domain will be watching, evaluating our skills. Indeed, we must prepare carefully. Perhaps we should arrange regular training sessions together leading up to the demonstration. I would welcome that. 2 heads are better than 1 in identifying weaknesses and refining technique." They agree to meet 3 times per week for focused preparation, understanding that the demonstration will be a significant test of their abilities and reputations. As they part ways, Masanori moves to the next phase of his training, archery practice. While the sword is considered the soul of the samurai, archery holds a place of nearly equal importance in the warrior tradition. In fact, for much of Japanese history, the term for warrior arts, Kyuyu no Michi, literally means the way of the bow and horse. The archery range consists of a long open area with targets positioned at various distances. The standard distance for formal practice is approximately 60 meters, a considerable challenge requiring strength, technique, and mental focus. Masanori retrieves his yumi, a traditional Japanese longbow that stands over 2 meters tall and is asymmetrical in design, with the grip positioned roughly 1/3 of the way up from the bottom. This unusual design, unique to Japanese archery, requires specific techniques and training to master. He also takes his arrows, each carefully maintained and inspected before use. A damaged arrow can veer off course or even cause injury to the archer. Each arrow is examined for straightness, the condition of the fletching, and the security of the arrowhead. Before shooting, Masanori performs a brief ritual preparation. He stands before the target and bows respectfully, a gesture acknowledging the serious nature of what he is about to do. Archery is not merely a martial skill, but a meditative practice, a form of moving Zen that requires total presence of mind. He assumes the proper stance, feet shoulder-width apart, body angled toward the target. The bow is raised overhead, the arrow knocked on the string. In one smooth motion, the bow is drawn as it is lowered to eye level, the archer's body and bow becoming one unified system. The draw of the uni requires considerable strength. Unlike some shorter bows that can be quickly drawn and released, the yumi demands a sustained, controlled draw that brings the string back past the archer's ear. The effort required helps focus the mind, eliminating stray thoughts and centering awareness entirely on the present moment. At full draw, Masanori pauses briefly, his breathing slow and controlled. His eyes are fixed on the target, but he is not merely aiming in a mechanical sense. He is becoming one with the target, closing the distance through mental focus and intention. His teacher's words echo in his memory. Do not aim at the target, become the target. The release comes almost as a surprise, the string slipping from his fingers at precisely the right moment without conscious decision. This is called the release that releases itself, a state where technique and intuition merge. The arrow flies true, striking the target near the center. It is a good shot, but not perfect. Masanori analyzes what he felt during the shot, identifying small imperfections in his form that affected the arrow's flight. He continues shooting, each arrow a complete practice in itself. There is no hurry, no rush to shoot quickly. Each shot receives full attention and proper execution. This is the way of Kyudo, the way of the bow, where the process matters as much as the result. After completing a full round of shooting, Masanori walks to the target to retrieve his arrows. He examines each one carefully, ensuring no damage occurred during impact. The care of one's equipment is an essential part of martial practice. A warrior who neglects his tools is not worthy of respect. As the afternoon progresses, other samurai come and go from the training grounds, each engaged in their own practice. There is occasional conversation, but mostly a focused quiet prevails. Everyone understands that this time is precious, that these skills could mean the difference between life and death should the long peace ever be disrupted. Master Kobayashi Teshin, the senior sword instructor, is present today, observing various students with his experienced eye. He is an elderly man, well past 70 years, but his movements remain precise and his knowledge profound. He served in the last great campaigns before the Tokugawa peace, and his experience in actual combat gives his teaching an authority that cannot be matched by those who know only peacetime practice. Master Teshin approaches Masanori as he completes his archery practice. Takada-san, your form has improved since last I watched you. Your draw is more centered, your release cleaner. Thank you, Master. Your previous guidance proved valuable. However, the old master continues, his eyes sharp despite his age, I notice tension in your shoulders as you draw. This tension travels down your arms and affects the steadiness of your aim. You must learn to maintain strength without rigidity, power without tension. I will work on this, Master. See that you do. With the demonstration approaching, every flaw will be visible to all observers. This is both pressure and opportunity. Use it to push yourself to a higher level. I am grateful for your guidance, Master. Masanori responds with a deep bow. The master nods and moves on to observe other students, his presence alone raising the quality of everyone's practice. To be noticed by Master Teshin, to receive his guidance, is considered a privilege that should not be wasted. As the afternoon wanes toward evening, Masanori completes his final training exercises, a series of conditioning drills designed to build strength and endurance. He performs push-ups, squats, and core exercises, pushing his body to its limits. A warrior's body is his primary tool, and it must be maintained with the same care given to swords and armor. Finally, exhausted and drenched in sweat, Masanori completes his training for the day. He carefully cleans and returns all borrowed equipment to the storage building, ensuring everything is properly maintained and secured. Even in fatigue, proper procedures must be followed. Before leaving the training grounds, he takes time to cool down properly, performing gentle stretches to prevent injury and maintain flexibility. An injured warrior is useless to his lord, so injury prevention is taken seriously. As he walks back toward the samurai quarter, the sun is beginning its descent toward the western horizon. The day's heat is moderating, and a pleasant breeze carries the scent of evening cooking fires. His body aches from the day's exertions, but is a good ache, the satisfaction of a body properly used and challenged. Tomorrow, he will rise and train again, and the day after that, and the day after that. This is the way of the warrior: constant refinement, unending discipline, perpetual readiness. The skills that define a samurai are not gifts, but achievements earned through decades of dedicated practice. As Masanori approaches his home, he sees his son Takeshi returning from his own training. The boy walks with the beginnings of a warrior's bearing, his movements becoming more controlled and purposeful as his training progresses. Seeing this fills Masanori with quiet pride. The traditions are being passed to the next generation, the line unbroken. The evening stretches ahead, bringing different duties and different forms of discipline. But first, there is the ritual of purification after the day's exertions. Chapter 5. Evening Rituals, 70 to 90 minutes. Upon returning home, Masanori's first task is to cleanse himself of the day's accumulated sweat and dust. Personal cleanliness is taken seriously among the samurai class, both for health reasons and as a mark of civilization and refinement. In the small bathing area attached to his home, water has been heated in a large vessel over a fire. The Japanese bathing ritual is precise and methodical. One does not simply immerse oneself in hot water while dirty. Instead, the process begins with thorough washing outside the bath itself. Masanori sits on a low wooden stool and uses a wooden bucket to pour water over himself. He scrubs his body thoroughly with a rough cloth, removing the sweat and grime of the day's activities. Only after this initial cleansing does he enter the large wooden soaking tub filled with hot water. The heat is intense, almost uncomfortably so, but Masanori settles into it gradually, allowing his muscles to relax and the warmth to penetrate deeply. This is one of the few times during the day when complete relaxation is permitted. The hot bath is not merely about cleanliness, but also about releasing tension and preparing the mind for the evening's activities. As he soaks, Masanori's mind wanders over the day's events: the morning audience and the Lord's announcement of the upcoming demonstration, his administrative duties, and the careful judgment required in dealing with the village petition, the afternoon's training, and Master Teshin's observation about tension in his shoulders. Each element is reviewed, analyzed, and filed away in memory. This kind of reflection is essential to self-improvement. A samurai must be his own harshest critic, constantly evaluating his performance and identifying areas for improvement. Complacency is the enemy of excellence, and excellence is the minimum acceptable standard for a warrior. After soaking for an appropriate time, Masanori emerges from the bath and dries himself with a clean cloth. His evening kimono, already laid out by Ayame, awaits him. This garment is more comfortable than his daytime attire, suitable for the home environment, but still maintaining proper dignity. As he dresses, he can hear sounds from the main living area of his home. Ayame is preparing the evening meal, and he can hear his daughter Hanako practicing on the koto, a traditional stringed instrument. The music is simple, but played with care, each note clear and properly timed. Masanori enters the main living area, now dressed in his evening attire. His swords, which he set aside during bathing, are once again secured at his side. Even at home, a samurai maintains certain formalities. The family gathers for the evening meal. Unlike the morning, when Masanori ate alone while Ayame served, the evening meal is a family affair. They kneel around the low dining table as Ayame brings out the various dishes she has prepared. The evening meal is more substantial than the simple breakfast. There is rice, of course, the staple of every meal. There is also miso soup with daikon radish and seaweed, a dish of simmered vegetables, carrots, mushrooms, and lotus root seasoned with soy sauce and sake, grilled mackerel, its skin crispy and flesh tender, pickled cucumbers and ginger as palate cleansers. The presentation is beautiful, each dish arranged with aesthetic consideration. Ayame has been trained from childhood in the arts of the home, and her skill shows in every aspect of meal preparation and presentation. Among samurai families, the wife's domestic abilities are considered as important as the husband's martial skills. Together, they create a harmonious and well-ordered household. Before eating, the family pauses together. Itadakimasu, they say in unison, the same expression Masanori used at breakfast, but now shared as a family. As they eat, conversation is permitted but kept subdued and respectful. Takeshi speaks about his day's training, describing a new sword technique his master introduced.
The movement seemed simple at first, Takeshi explains, but when I attempted it, I found it quite difficult to coordinate the body movement with the blade angle. This is often the case, Masanori responds. The techniques that appear simplest often contain the most subtle complexity. What did your master say when you expressed this difficulty? He said that this is why we practice each technique thousands of times. The first 100 repetitions teach the basic movement. The second 100 begin to reveal the deeper principles. Only after 1,000 repetitions does one start to truly understand. Your master speaks wisdom, Masanori confirms. Remember this lesson. In martial arts, as in life, superficial understanding is worse than no understanding at all. One must practice with patience and humility, always seeking deeper insight. Young Hanaka, though not training in martial arts, listens attentively to these conversations. She is learning, as all children of samurai families do, the values and principles that define their class. Discipline, dedication, respect for teachers, patience in learning, these principles apply to her studies in music and tea ceremony, just as they apply to her brother's martial training. How was your music practice today? Ayame asks her daughter. Sensei said my technique is improving, but I still struggle with the faster passages in the new piece she assigned. What did she suggest? She said to practice the difficult sections slowly at first, playing each note perfectly, even if the tempo is much reduced. Only when I can play it slowly without errors should I gradually increase the speed. This is excellent advice, Masanori comments. It is the same principle we use in martial training. Master the fundamentals at slow speed before attempting to perform at full speed. Speed without control is worthless. These dinner conversations serve multiple purposes. They reinforce family bonds, allow parents to monitor their children's progress, and provide opportunities to teach important lessons. The samurai family is not merely a domestic unit, but also an educational environment where values are transmitted from generation to generation. As the meal concludes, Ayame serves tea, a signal that the meal is ending. They sit quietly for a few moments, sipping the tea and allowing their food to settle. Mother, may I tell father about the cherry blossoms? Hanaka asks. You may, Ayame responds with a slight smile. I walked past the Lord's garden today, and the blossoms are truly beautiful now. Everyone says this will be one of the best viewing seasons in many years. Cherry blossom viewing, or hanami, is one of the most important cultural traditions in Japan. The brief blooming period of the cherry trees, lasting only a week or two before the petals fall, is seen as a metaphor for the samurai life itself. Beautiful but brief, requiring one to appreciate each moment fully because nothing lasts forever. Perhaps tomorrow evening, if my duties permit, we might walk together to see them, Masanori suggests. His children's faces light up with pleasure at this prospect, and even Ayame shows her approval with a subtle nod. These small family pleasures are important, providing balance to the rigid demands of samurai duty. After the meal is cleared away, the family spends a brief time together in the main room. Takeshi reviews some written texts related to his studies, not just martial techniques, but also history, philosophy, and poetry. A complete warrior must be educated in the arts of both war and peace. Hanaka continues her music practice, and Masanori listens with appreciation. The ability to find beauty in music, poetry, and nature is considered essential for a samurai. A man who knows only violence and warfare is incomplete, lacking the refinement that separates a true samurai from a mere brute.
As evening deepens into night, Masanori retires to his personal study, a small room where he keeps his books, writing materials, and personal items. This space is his alone, a place where he can pursue his private interests and continue his education. He lights an oil lamp and settles at his writing desk. Tonight, he has decided to practice calligraphy, one of his preferred evening activities. Calligraphy, the art of beautiful writing, is considered one of the essential accomplishments for an educated person. It combines aesthetic beauty with philosophical depth, as the characters one writes often carry profound meanings. He prepares his materials with care. The ink stick is ground slowly against the inkstone with a few drops of water, creating a pool of black ink with the perfect consistency, not too thick, not too watery. The brush is a fine one, made from wolf hair, responsive and capable of producing both thick and thin lines depending on pressure. Tonight, Masanori decides to write a poem, specifically a haiku. This ultra-concise form of poetry, consisting of just 17 syllables in a 5-7-5 pattern, is particularly favored by samurai for its combination of discipline and expression. Within the rigid structure, one must capture a moment, an image, an emotion with perfect economy. He thinks for some time, brush poised above the paper, waiting for inspiration. Then it comes. Training grounds at dusk, the Bakken's whistle fades soft. Cherry petals fall. He writes each character carefully, the brush flowing across the paper with controlled energy. Each stroke must be executed with proper pressure, proper speed, and proper angle. Like swordsmanship, calligraphy reveals the writer's character and state of mind through every mark made. When finished, he sets the paper aside to dry and studies his work critically. The meaning captures something of his day, the dedicated practice, the approaching evening, the transient beauty of the season. The characters are well formed, though he notes that the second character in the third line shows slight hesitation in its execution. This reveals a momentary lapse in focus, a brief uncertainty. Even in calligraphy, one's true nature is exposed. This is why samurai practice calligraphy. It is training for the mind and spirit, teaching focus, patience, and honest self-evaluation. A man who can see his flaws clearly in his calligraphy can more easily identify weaknesses in his martial technique or moral character. He continues writing for some time, alternating between poetry and copying passages from classical texts. There is a book of strategic writings by the legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi that Masanori studies regularly. Musashi's insights into combat, strategy, and the warrior's mindset remain profoundly relevant even decades after his death. One passage particularly resonates with Masanori tonight. You should not have a favorite weapon. To become over-familiar with one weapon is as much a fault as not knowing it sufficiently well. You should not imitate others, but use weapons that you can handle properly. This wisdom applies not just to weapons, but to all aspects of life. One must find one's own path, develop one's own style, while still respecting tradition and learning from masters. Blind imitation produces inferior results. True mastery requires understanding principles deeply enough to make them one's own. As the night deepens, Masanori finally sets aside his writing implements and prepares for bed. Tomorrow will bring another day of duties, training, and responsibilities. The cycle continues without end, each day an opportunity to refine oneself, to come closer to the ideal of the perfect warrior. Before extinguishing the lamp, he spends a few moments in meditation, sitting in Seiza position with his eyes closed and his breathing slow and deep. This final meditation helps clear the mind and prepare for restful sleep. A warrior must maintain control even over his rest, ensuring that sleep is restorative and that he will wake refreshed and ready for the next day's challenges. The lamp is extinguished. Darkness fills the room. Masanori lies down on his futon, his swords within easy reach, and allows sleep to come. His last conscious thought is one of gratitude, for another day lived with honor, for the opportunity to serve his Lord, for the traditions that give meaning and structure to his existence.
The day has ended, but the way as the warrior continues, eternal and unchanging, passed from generation to generation like an unbroken thread connecting past, present, and future. This ends Chapter 6, Reflections on Bushido. This chapter explores more deeply the code that governed every aspect of Takeda Masanori's Zori.
Bushido, the way of the warrior, was not merely a set of rules, but a complete philosophy that defined what it meant to be samurai. The word itself, Bushido, combines three characters: Bu, meaning warrior or military, Shi, meaning samurai or knight, and Du, meaning way or path. It is the way of the warrior knight, a path of life that demands total commitment and shapes every decision, every action, every thought. Bushido emerged over centuries of Japanese history, drawing from multiple sources. From Shinto, Japan's indigenous religion, came the emphasis on ritual purity and connection to ancestors. From Buddhism, particularly the Zen school, came acceptance of death, focus on the present moment, and the quest for enlightenment through disciplined practice. From Confucianism came the hierarchical loyalty, emphasis on proper relationships, and dedication to education and self-cultivation. These diverse influences merged into something uniquely Japanese, a code that placed the samurai at the pinnacle of society, but also bound them with the heaviest responsibilities and the strictest standards of behavior. At the heart of Bushido lay 7 fundamental virtues, though different schools and teachers sometimes emphasized different aspects or added additional principles. These 7 core virtues were: first, Ji, or rectitude and justice. This was considered the most important virtue, the bone that gave firmness and structure to the whole body of Bushido. A samurai must always know the difference between right and wrong and have the courage to choose the right path regardless of consequences. Rectitude was about making correct decisions in the midst of uncertainty, maintaining integrity even when it would be easier to compromise, and standing by one's principles even in the face of death. For Masanori, this principle guided his administrative decisions. When the farmers from Yamada village came seeking relief from their tax burden, he could not simply grant their request without investigation, even though compassion might have inclined him toward mercy. Justice required verification of their claims and fair treatment that balanced their needs against the Lord's legitimate requirements and the precedent that would be set for other villages. Second, Yu, or courage. This was not mere physical bravery, though that was certainly included. True courage, according to Bushido, was living correctly and dying correctly. It meant doing what was right because it was right, regardless of personal risk. It meant standing alone if necessary, speaking truth to power when required, and facing any adversity with calmness and dignity. The samurai were expected to be constantly prepared for death, not in a morbid sense, but with the understanding that life is transient and that attachment to life could lead to cowardice or dishonor. The most famous expression of this principle appears in the Hagakure, a text on Bushido. The way of the samurai is found in death. When it comes to either or, there is only the quick choice of death. This did not mean seeking death foolishly. Rather, it meant that a samurai should live each day as if it were his last, maintaining constant readiness and never allowing fear of death to prevent him from doing his duty. Paradoxically, this constant awareness of mortality allowed the samurai to live more fully, appreciating each moment while it lasted. Third, Jin, or benevolence and compassion. This virtue balanced the harsh demands of justice and courage with humanity and mercy. A samurai wielded great power, both through his swords and through his position in society. This power must be tempered with compassion and used to protect the weak rather than oppress them. Masanori demonstrated this principle when considering the villagers' petition. While justice demanded verification, compassion required that he genuinely considered their hardship and be willing to recommend leniency if their claims proved true. A samurai without compassion was merely a thug with a sword, regardless of his technical skill or social rank. Fourth, rei, or respect and courtesy. Proper behavior and etiquette were not merely social niceties, but expressions of respect for others and for oneself. Every bow, every precisely placed object, every carefully chosen word demonstrated one's character and cultivation. This principle governed all of Masanori's interactions. He bowed appropriately to superiors, equals, and subordinates, each receiving the degree of respect their position warranted. He maintained proper distance and formality in official settings while allowing slightly more relaxation in private family time. He spoke carefully, avoiding harsh or rude language even when correcting errors or expressing disagreement. The samurai believed that how one did things mattered as much as what one did. Beautiful execution of even simple tasks reflected a beautiful spirit. Crude or careless behavior, conversely, revealed an unrefined or undisciplined character. Fifth, makoto, or honesty and sincerity. A samurai's word was considered sacred. To lie, to deceive, to make promises one could not keep, these were grave dishonors. Bushi no ichigon, a samurai's single word, was considered binding and absolute. This commitment to honesty extended beyond simply not lying. It required authentic living, being true to oneself and one's principles. A samurai should not wear a false face or pretend to be something he was not. This authenticity, this alignment between inner character and outer behavior, was seen as essential to personal integrity. In practical terms, this meant that when Masanori committed to arrange for an inspector to visit Yamada village, this commitment was absolute. He would not forget, would not delay unnecessarily, would not allow the matter to be quietly dropped. His word, once given, was iron. Sixth, mio, or honor. This was perhaps the most famous aspect of Bushido in the Western imagination, though often misunderstood. Honor was not about glory or fame or public recognition. It was about maintaining one's integrity and reputation through consistent adherence to all the other principles. A samurai's honor was his most precious possession, more valuable than life itself. Loss of honor was considered worse than death. This is why the practice of seppuku, ritual suicide, existed. If a samurai committed a grave error that brought dishonor upon himself, his family, or his lord, death was seen as the only way to restore honor and cleanse the shame. However, honor was not merely about avoiding dishonor. It was about actively building and maintaining a reputation for excellence, integrity, and reliability. Every action, no matter how small, either added to or subtracted from one's honor. This is why samurai paid such careful attention to proper execution of even mundane tasks. Seventh, chugi, or loyalty. This was the virtue that bound the entire samurai social system together. A samurai's primary loyalty was to his lord, the daimyo, whom he served. This loyalty was expected to be absolute, transcending even family ties or personal interests. The ideal of samurai loyalty was exemplified in historical events, like the tale of the 47 Ronin, masterless samurai who avenged their lord's death even though they knew it would cost them their own lives. Their story became the ultimate expression of loyalty and is still celebrated in Japan today. For Masanori, loyalty meant that his lord's interests always came first. When making administrative decisions, he considered what best served the domain and its ruler. When training, he prepared himself to be a more effective tool for his lord's use. Even his family life was structured around his ability to serve effectively. However, loyalty in the Bushido sense was not blind obedience. A truly loyal retainer would respectfully counsel his lord against unwise decisions, even at risk to himself. The ultimate loyalty was to the lord's true interests and honor, not merely to his expressed wishes. A samurai who silently allowed his lord to make a dishonorable or foolish choice was not truly loyal. These 7 virtues formed the foundation of Bushido, but the code encompassed much more. It shaped attitudes toward death, suffering, pleasure, education, art, and every aspect of existence. The samurai's relationship with death was particularly distinctive. Death was not something to be feared or avoided at all costs, but rather something to be understood and accepted. The warrior knew that death might come at any moment, in battle or through his lord's command, or through illness or accident. This awareness was meant to sharpen his appreciation for life and his commitment to living honorably. Famous quotes from samurai texts emphasize this acceptance. "A warrior is always prepared to die" was not a morbid statement, but a recognition of reality and a reminder to live purposefully. If death could come at any moment, then every moment must be lived with intention and meaning. This acceptance of mortality paradoxically freed the samurai from certain fears that plague others. A man who has made peace with his own death cannot be controlled through threats or intimidation. He becomes, in a sense, invincible, not because he cannot be killed, but because the fear of death no longer limits his choices. At the same time, Bushido did not glorify reckless death-seeking. Throwing one's life away uselessly was considered foolish, not brave. The warrior should preserve his life so that he could continue serving his lord. Only when duty clearly required sacrifice, or when honor could be preserved in no other way, should a samurai accept death. Education was another crucial aspect of Bushido. The ideal samurai was not merely a skilled fighter, but a cultured gentleman, educated in both military and civilian arts. This concept was expressed in the phrase Bunbu Ryodo, the dual way of pen and sword. A complete warrior studied history to learn from past examples of strategy and leadership. He studied philosophy and ethics to develop his moral character. He practiced calligraphy to refine his spirit and demonstrate his cultivation. He learned poetry to express emotions appropriately and to develop sensitivity to beauty. He might study tea ceremony, flower arrangement, or music, not as mere hobbies, but as paths to spiritual development and social refinement. This emphasis on cultural education served multiple purposes. It demonstrated that samurai were not mere thugs or soldiers, but members of an educated elite. It provided peaceful pursuits that could be practiced during times when warfare was not required. And it cultivated qualities like patience, attention to detail, and aesthetic sensitivity that complemented martial skills. Masanori's evening calligraphy practice was part of this tradition. The discipline required to write beautiful characters with brush and ink trained the same qualities needed for sword work: control, precision, timing, and a calm mind. The aesthetic judgment required to appreciate beauty in writing developed the same sensitivity needed to recognize beauty in nature or find elegance in efficient movement. The relationship between samurai and the other classes in Japanese society was another important aspect defined by Bushido. The 4-class system placed samurai at the top, followed by farmers, then artisans, and finally merchants. This hierarchy was based on perceived contributions to society. Warriors protected everyone, farmers fed everyone, artisans produced necessary goods, and merchants merely moved goods around without creating anything. This position of privilege carried heavy responsibilities. The samurai were expected to serve as examples of moral behavior, to govern fairly, to protect the weak, and to maintain order. A samurai who abused his position or treated commoners unjustly was considered to have violated Bushido and brought shame upon his class. The concept of noblesse oblige was strong in samurai culture. Those who had power and privilege had corresponding duties to use them wisely and benevolently. Masanori's careful consideration of the villagers' petition reflected this principle. He had power over their lives, and that power must be exercised with wisdom and compassion. At the same time, the class system was rigid and absolute. A samurai was born into his position, and maintaining class distinctions was considered essential to social order. Marriage between classes was strictly forbidden. Certain privileges, like wearing swords or riding horses, were reserved for samurai alone. Violations of class boundaries were severely punished. The samurai's relationship with money was complex and somewhat contradictory. On one hand, they were the ruling class and enjoyed various privileges and income from their positions. On the other hand, there was a strong cultural emphasis on disdaining monetary concerns as beneath a warrior's dignity. The ideal samurai was supposed to be indifferent to wealth, content with whatever income his position provided, and motivated by honor and duty rather than material gain. Merchants, who pursued profit as their primary goal, were ranked lowest in the social hierarchy, despite often being quite wealthy. In reality, many samurai struggled financially, especially during the Edo period's long peace, when there were no opportunities for battlefield advancement or rewards. Some became indebted to merchants, a situation that was shameful but common. Others engaged in various forms of economic activity, sometimes through intermediaries, to supplement their income. Masanori's administrative role involved managing resources and ensuring proper tax collection, but his attitude toward this work reflected Bushido values. He sought to be fair and efficient, to serve his lord's interests, and to maintain good order. The financial aspects were means to these ends, not goals in themselves. The role of women in samurai culture was defined by different but equally demanding expectations. While women did not typically fight in battles or hold official positions, they were considered the backbone of samurai families and vital to maintaining the warrior spirit across generations. Samurai women, like Masanori's wife, Ayame, were trained from childhood in domestic arts, etiquette, and the values of their class. They were expected to manage households efficiently, raise children to understand and embody Bushido principles, and to support their husbands' duties through creating peaceful and orderly home environments. Some samurai women also received training in weapons, particularly the naginata, a polearm considered appropriate for women's use. This training served both practical and symbolic purposes. Practically, women needed to be able to defend their homes if their husbands were away at war. Symbolically, it demonstrated that courage and martial skill were valued qualities for women as well as men. Women were expected to display the same courage and commitment to honor as their male counterparts. There are historical accounts of samurai women who committed ritual suicide to avoid capture or dishonor, or who defended their homes with fierce determination when attacked. Ayame's quiet efficiency, her attention to proper form in all household matters, her role in educating the children about proper behavior, all of these reflected the female version of Bushido. She maintained her own honor and contributed to her husband's ability to serve his lord by ensuring that domestic matters were handled properly. The education of children in samurai families began early and was taken seriously. From the youngest age, children were taught to control their emotions, endure discomfort without complaint, show respect to their elders, and maintain proper behavior at all times. Boys began formal martial training around age 7 or 8, though earlier informal exposure to weapons and warrior culture was common. They learned first with wooden weapons, gradually progressing to actual swords as they matured and proved their responsibility. Girls began learning domestic arts, etiquette, and cultural accomplishments like music and calligraphy. They were taught that their role was to support the samurai family structure and eventually to become the wives and mothers who would raise the next generation of warriors. Both boys and girls were taught that they represented not just themselves, but their entire family line. Their behavior reflected on their parents, their siblings, their ancestors, and their descendants. This created tremendous pressure to maintain proper behavior at all times. Masanori's son Takeshi was at a crucial stage in his development, old enough to begin serious training, but young enough that his character was still being formed. His father's example, his teacher's instruction, and the entire environment of samurai culture were shaping him into the next generation of warriors. The concept of kata, or prescribed forms, was central to samurai education and practice. Whether in martial arts, tea ceremony, calligraphy, or any other discipline, learning proceeded through mastering specific forms that embodied proper technique and principle. The kata system reflected deep beliefs about learning and tradition. Each kata represented the accumulated wisdom of previous generations, refined through countless repetitions and actual use. By practicing these forms diligently, students absorbed not just techniques, but the principles underlying them. The progression of learning through kata followed a traditional pattern. First, shu, learn the form exactly as taught without variation. Second, ha, break from the form slightly as you begin to understand underlying principles. Third, ri, transcend the form, internalizing principles so completely that your actions are natural and spontaneous while still embodying perfect technique. Masanori was at the stage where he understood this progression intellectually and, in his better moments, achieved something approaching ri, but he still practiced the basic forms daily because one could never abandon fundamentals. The greatest masters continued practicing basic kata throughout their lives. The relationship between student and teacher in samurai culture was profound and lasted a lifetime. One's teacher was second only to one's lord in the hierarchy of obligations. The knowledge and skills a teacher transmitted were invaluable gifts that could never be fully repaid. Students demonstrated gratitude not through words alone, but through dedicated practice, proper behavior, and eventually by transmitting the teachings to the next generation. To abandon one's training or to misrepresent the teachings one had received was to dishonor one's teacher, a serious failing. Master Kobayashi Teshin, who had observed Masanori's training, stood in this relationship to many samurai in the domain. His instruction was treasured, and his approval was something warriors sought throughout their careers. Even a brief word of correction or encouragement from such a master could guide a student's practice for months afterward. The physical environment and aesthetics of samurai culture also reflected Bushido principles. The preference for simplicity, for clean lines and uncluttered spaces, for natural materials and subtle colors, all of these reflected values of restraint, naturalness, and appreciation for essential beauty. Masanori's home, like most samurai residences, exemplified this aesthetic. Rooms were not filled with furniture and decorations, but kept relatively empty, multi-purpose spaces.
The few decorative elements present, a hanging scroll, a flower arrangement, a carefully maintained garden visible through open screens, were placed with great care and changed with the seasons. This aesthetic was not merely about appearance, but reflected deeper values. Excessive ornamentation was considered vulgar and suggested a person who needed external display to feel important. True confidence and status required no such affectation. Beauty should be subtle, requiring a cultivated eye to fully appreciate. The tea ceremony, which many samurai practiced, exemplified this aesthetic philosophy. A tea room was deliberately small and simple, stripping away all pretense and reducing life to its essentials. In this space, even the most powerful lord and the humblest guest could meet as equals, united in appreciation of simplicity and the present moment. Cherry blossom viewing, which Masanori's daughter mentioned, carried similar significance. The blossoms were beautiful precisely because they were fleeting. They bloomed brilliantly for a brief time and then fell, scattering their petals like snow. This transience made them precious and served as a metaphor for the samurai life, beautiful, brief, and impermanent. The acceptance of impermanence, influenced heavily by Buddhist philosophy, permeated samurai culture. Nothing lasted forever. Beauty faded. Power shifted. Life ended. Rather than railing against this reality or desperately clinging to what could not be held, the warrior accepted impermanence and found beauty in it. This philosophical acceptance had practical implications. It prevented excessive attachment to material possessions or specific outcomes. It encouraged living fully in each moment, rather than postponing life until some future condition was met. It provided context for understanding both victory and defeat as temporary states. At the same time, this acceptance of impermanence existed alongside fierce dedication to maintaining tradition and preserving what could be preserved. The contradiction was more apparent than real. One could acknowledge that all things eventually pass while still working to preserve valuable traditions for as long as possible. The cherry blossoms would fall, but the trees would bloom again next spring. The concept of face, or social reputation, was another crucial element in samurai culture.
One's face was built through consistent demonstration of competence, integrity, and proper behavior. It could be enhanced through notable achievements or diminished through failure or improper conduct. Maintaining face was not about pride or vanity, but about preserving one's ability to function effectively in society. A samurai who had lost face through some scandal or failure found his words carried less weight, his judgment questioned, his recommendations doubted. Severe loss of face could make one effectively unable to perform one's duties. This is why samurai were so careful about their behavior and appearance. Every action in public was scrutinized and judged. A single significant error could damage a reputation built over many years. The pressure was constant, but considered necessary to maintain high standards. The upcoming martial demonstration that Lord Matsudaira had announced would be a significant face-related event. Strong performance would enhance reputations and possibly lead to advancement. Poor performance would bring shame and potentially damage careers. This was why Masanori and other samurai took such events seriously and prepared extensively. Religious and spiritual elements were woven throughout Bushido and samurai culture. While the philosophical framework drew heavily from Buddhism and Confucianism, indigenous Shinto beliefs also played important roles. Shinto emphasized ritual purity, respect for nature and ancestors, and the concept that Japan itself was sacred and uniquely protected by divine beings called kami. Samurai participated in Shinto rituals, visited shrines, and carried protective amulets. Buddhism, particularly Zen Buddhism, provided practices for mental training and philosophical frameworks for understanding existence. The meditation practices that Masanori engaged in, both morning and evening, were Zen-influenced techniques for calming the mind and achieving clarity. The Zen concept of mushin, or no mind, was particularly important for warriors. This state of consciousness, achieved through extensive training and meditation, allowed one to respond instantly without the delay of conscious thought. In combat, thinking was too slow. One must simply act, responding appropriately without mental interference. Many famous samurai were also serious Zen practitioners, studying with monks and sometimes even becoming monks themselves in retirement. The relationship between Zen and swordsmanship was considered so close that some sword schools incorporated Zen meditation and philosophy directly into their martial training. As we contemplate these many aspects of Bushido, we begin to understand that it was far more than a simple code of conduct. It was a complete philosophy of life that addressed questions of meaning, purpose, ethics, aesthetics, and human potential. The samurai believed that through dedicated practice, self-discipline, and adherence to proper principles, one could cultivate exceptional character and capability. A person was not simply born with fixed qualities, but could be refined and improved throughout life, much as a swordsmith refines raw steel into a perfect blade through repeated heating, folding, and hammering. This belief in self-cultivation through discipline made the samurai culture extremely demanding, but also offered the hope that anyone who embraced the path seriously could achieve excellence. Natural talent mattered less than consistent effort over time. The daily life we have witnessed Masanori living exemplifies this philosophy in action. Every moment is an opportunity for practice and improvement. Every task, no matter how mundane, is performed with full attention and proper form. Every interaction with others is governed by principles of respect and propriety. This way of life was sustainable because it provided deep meaning and purpose. Masanori was not simply going through motions or fulfilling arbitrary requirements. He was participating in something larger than himself, connecting to his ancestors who walked this path before him and to the future generations who would follow. The code of Bushido would eventually decline as Japan modernized, and the samurai class itself was abolished in the late 19th century. But its influence on Japanese culture persisted, shaping attitudes toward work, duty, discipline, and personal excellence that continue to resonate even today. For now, in the year 1650, Bushido remains vibrant and central to Japanese society. The way of the warrior continues, refined over generations and passed carefully from master to student, from parent to child, an unbroken chain of tradition and excellence. Let us return now to Masanori's day to witness the final hours before the cycle begins anew. Chapter 7, Night Watch and Contemplation, 110-0 to 130-0. The deep night settles over the castle town like a heavy blanket. Most of the residents sleep, but the town is never entirely unguarded or unwatched. Security, even in times of peace, remains a constant concern for the domain's leadership. Masanori's normal duties do not include night watch, but tonight he has volunteered to take a shift. This is not required of a samurai of his rank, but he believes that occasionally sharing in this duty demonstrates solidarity with the junior samurai who perform it regularly and maintains his own awareness of the domain's security measures. He dresses in his regular attire, securing his swords and adding a light outer coat against the night chill. Before leaving his home, he pauses at the small household shrine where the family maintains offerings to their ancestors and to the protective kami. He bows respectfully, a brief moment of acknowledgement and connection to the spiritual dimension of his existence. The streets are quiet as he walks toward the guard station. The moon is nearly full, providing enough light to see clearly. The traditional architecture of the town, with its wooden buildings and tiled roofs, is transformed by moonlight into a landscape of silver and shadow. He passes several other watchmen during his walk, each acknowledging the other with a silent nod. The night watch is vigilant but quiet, maintaining security through presence and awareness rather than loud patrols or aggressive posturing. The guard station he is assigned to tonight is located at one of the key intersections in the samurai quarter, a position that allows observation of several major streets. When he arrives, he finds Matsui Kojiro, a young samurai in his early 20s, already on duty. "Takeda-sama," the young man greets him with a respectful bow. "I did not expect to see a samurai of your rank volunteering for night watch." "The security of the domain is every warrior's responsibility," Masanori responds. "Besides, it has been some time since I performed this duty. It is good to remind myself of what our junior samurai experience regularly." They settle into the watch routine, standing at positions where they can observe the surrounding streets while remaining alert for any unusual sounds or movements. The duty is mostly uneventful, as crime in the samurai quarter is extremely rare. However, vigilance must be maintained. An attack could come from outside enemies, and fires are always a danger in a town of wooden buildings. As they watch in companionable silence, broken occasionally by quiet conversation, Masanori takes the opportunity to learn more about the young samurai. This too is part of his responsibility. The senior samurai should take interest in the development of junior warriors. "Tell me, Matsui-san, how long have you been in our Lord's service?" 3 years, Takeda-sama. I completed my training and was accepted as a full retainer shortly before my 20th birthday. And your duties? I serve in the military administration, primarily helping to maintain records of the Ashigaru forces and ensuring proper distribution of equipment and supplies. It is not prestigious work, but I hope to prove myself worthy of greater responsibility in time. All work in service of the Lord has value, Masanori observes. Without proper administration of supplies, even the greatest general cannot succeed. Take pride in your work and perform it with excellence. Thank you, Takeda-sama. Your words are encouraging. They continue talking, and Masanori learns that Matsui comes from a family of lower-ranking samurai who have served the domain for several generations. The young man is dedicated and serious, exactly the kind of reliable retainer the domain needs. I understand there will be a martial demonstration next month, Matsui mentions. I am both excited and nervous about participating. It is natural to feel both emotions, Masanori replies. The demonstration is an opportunity to show your progress and dedication. How is your sword work? My teacher says I have decent fundamentals, but need to develop more fluidity in my movements. I sometimes think too much during execution, which creates hesitation. This is a common problem, and one I struggled with myself when younger. The mind must be trained to be present without interfering. Have you practiced meditation? Some, but not as diligently as I should. I suggest you increase your meditation practice.
Spend time each morning in zazen before beginning your physical training. Learn to observe your thoughts without attachment, to be aware without grasping. This mental training will translate into more fluid physical technique. I will do so, Takeda-sama. Thank you for the guidance. This kind of mentoring interaction is common among samurai. The more experienced warriors have a responsibility to guide those who are younger and less experienced. Knowledge and skill should be shared, not hoarded. The strength of the domain depends on the quality of all its warriors, not just a few exceptional individuals. As the night deepens, they observe the slow patrol of the moon across the sky. Occasionally, they hear sounds from the town below, a dog barking, a baby crying, the creak of wooden buildings settling in the night air. Each sound is noted and evaluated, but none indicate anything requiring action. Masanori finds these quiet night hours conducive to reflection. The busyness of the day, with its constant demands and activities, leaves little room for deep contemplation. But here, in the stillness of the night watch, the mind can wander more freely. He thinks about the pattern of his life, the daily cycles that repeat with small variations but fundamental consistency. Rise before dawn, train, attend to duties, train again, manage family responsibilities, practice cultural arts, sleep, repeat. To some, such a routine might seem monotonous or limiting, but Masanori finds deep satisfaction in it. The routine provides structure and purpose. Each day offers opportunities to improve, to refine technique, to better understand principles that guide proper living. He reflects on the upcoming martial demonstration and his own preparation. His sword work remains sharp, but Master Teshin's observation about tension in his shoulders was accurate and requires attention. His archery is good, but could be more consistent. He must increase his training intensity over the coming weeks. He also thinks about his son Takeshi and the boy's development as a warrior. Masanori sees much of his younger self in his son, the same dedication, the same occasional tendency to overthink rather than simply executing technique. With proper guidance, the boy will develop into a fine samurai. This thought brings quiet pride and a sense of fulfilling his responsibility to the family line. His daughter Hanako also occupies her thoughts. Though she will not be a warrior, she too is learning discipline and dedication through her cultural studies. She will eventually marry into another samurai family, and the qualities she develops now will serve her well in that role. And Ayame, his wife, whose quiet competence makes everything else possible. Without her management of the household, without the peaceful and orderly home environment she creates, Masanori would be unable to perform his duties effectively. Her contribution, though less visible than his own, is no less essential. The bonds of family, the weight of duty, the constant striving for improvement, these form the fabric of his existence. He knows no other way and desires none. This is the path his ancestors walked, and he walks it with pride and determination. As the night progresses, Matsui asks a question that many young samurai ponder. Takeda-sama, we have lived in peace for many years now. Do you think we will see war in our lifetimes? It is a thoughtful question, and one that deserves a considered answer. Masanori is silent for a moment before responding. The Tokugawa peace has indeed lasted longer than any of us have been alive. The great shogun established an order that has brought stability to our land. This is a precious thing, not to be taken lightly. He pauses, choosing his words carefully. However, a warrior who trains only for a war he expects to never come is missing the deeper purpose of our practice. We train not merely to prepare for battle, but to cultivate character, to maintain discipline, to preserve the skills and spirit of our ancestors. Whether we see war or not, whether we ever draw our swords in anger or not, we must train as if battle could come tomorrow. This is the way of the warrior. The moment we become complacent, the moment we allow our skills to degrade or our spirit to soften, we have failed in our fundamental duty. Matsui nods thoughtfully. So the training itself is the purpose, regardless of whether it is ever used in actual combat? In part, yes. The training refines us, teaches us discipline and dedication, connects us to our heritage.
But we must also remain genuinely ready. Peace is maintained not just through political arrangements, but through the underlying reality that any domain attempting aggression would face competent, well-trained warriors. Our readiness preserves the peace. I understand, Takeda-sama. It is a more complex purpose than I had previously considered. Many things in the warrior's life are more complex than they first appear, Masanori observes with a slight smile. We spend our entire lives exploring these complexities, and still we feel we have barely scratched the surface. The conversation continues, ranging across various topics related to training, duty, and the challenges of maintaining warrior skills during peacetime. Masanori finds these discussions valuable, forcing him to articulate principles he usually simply embodies without conscious analysis. The night progresses slowly, each hour marked by the distant sound of the temple bell. The town remains peaceful, no incidents requiring intervention. This is as it should be. The visible presence of armed samurai on watch serves as a deterrent to wrongdoing. As dawn begins to lighten the eastern sky, their watch duty nears its end. The relief guards arrive, and Masanori and Matsuni are released from their posts. Thank you for the companionship and conversation tonight, Takeda-sama. Your insights have given me much to consider. The pleasure was mine, Matsui-san. Continue your dedicated training, and I expect you will do well at the demonstration. They part ways, each heading to his own home for a brief rest before the day's regular duties begin. Masanori walks through streets that are beginning to stir with early morning activity. Servants are emerging to begin their work. Merchants are opening shutters. The town is transitioning from night to day. As he approaches his own home, Masanori feels the pleasant fatigue that comes from a night spent awake and watchful. His body is tired, but his mind is clear and calm. He has fulfilled another duty, contributed to the domain's security, and helped guide a younger warrior. It has been a good night. The paper screens of his home glow softly with lamplight from within. Ayame has risen and is beginning her morning preparations. The cycle continues, eternal and unchanging, each day both unique and part of an endless pattern. Masanori enters his home, removes his swords, and places them on their stand, and allows himself to relax slightly. He has perhaps an hour before he must begin his normal morning routine. He will use this time to rest briefly, gathering his energy for another day of service. But first, he kneels before the family altar and offers a brief prayer of gratitude. Another night has passed safely. Another opportunity to serve has been fulfilled. The way continues, one day at a time, one action at a time, one moment at a time. This is the life of a samurai. Demanding, disciplined, filled with duty and responsibility. And yet, for those who embrace it fully, deeply satisfying and meaningful beyond measure. The temple bell rings out across the castle town, marking the hour of the rabbit. Dawn has arrived, bringing with it the start of a new day. For Takeda Masanori, exhausted from his night watch duty, this presents a choice that tests his discipline. His body craves sleep. The temptation to rest for a few more hours is strong. But the way of the warrior does not accommodate convenient exceptions. The routine must be maintained. Discipline exercised only when convenient is not true discipline at all. He rises from the brief rest he allowed himself and begins his morning preparations exactly as he does every other day. The water for cleansing is cold and shocking, but it clears away the fog of fatigue and sharpens his awareness. He performs his morning meditation, though maintaining focus requires more effort than usual given his tiredness. This is precisely the point. Training under difficult conditions, performing duties despite fatigue or discomfort, maintaining standards even when no one would know if you took shortcuts, these are the tests that reveal and forge true character. Ayame notices his fatigue, but says nothing, simply ensuring that his morning meal is particularly nourishing and her tea especially strong. This is her way of supporting him without undermining his discipline. A weaker person might suggest he rest, might excuse him from his duties, but Ayame understands the warrior path and knows that such kindness would actually be a disservice.
After his meal, Masanori makes his way to the training grounds despite his exhaustion. His body is heavy, his movements less sharp than usual, but he goes through his kata sequence with full attention and effort. If anything, he pushes himself harder than on a normal day, using this difficulty as an opportunity to strengthen his will.
Other samurai on the training grounds notice his presence despite his obvious fatigue and nod with silent approval. They know he performed night watch duty, and his immediate return to regular training demonstrates the kind of dedication expected of a true warrior. Master Kobayashi Teshin observes Masanori's practice from across the training ground. After Masanori completes his kata sequence, the old master approaches. "You performed night watch, yet you trained this morning without rest." "The routine must be maintained, Master. Fatigue is merely a sensation, not an excuse." "Your dedication is commendable. However, wisdom also has value. A warrior who exhausts himself unnecessarily through excessive discipline serves his lord poorly. There is a difference between pushing through difficulty and foolish disregard for one's physical limits." Masanori considers this carefully. "I understand, Master. You are suggesting that I should have rested this morning. I am suggesting that you should develop the wisdom to know when persistence becomes stubbornness. Today, you should complete your basic training, but perhaps reduce its intensity. Save your full effort for tomorrow when you are properly rested. A warrior must maintain his effectiveness over the long term, not just prove his determination for a single day." This is a valuable lesson, and Masanori bows deeply in acknowledgement. "Thank you, Master. I will adjust my training accordingly." "Good. Remember, Bushido requires not just dedication, but also wisdom. Knowing when to push forward and when to conserve strength is itself a martial skill." The master moves on to observe other students, leaving Masanori to reflect on this guidance. It is a subtle point, but an important one. True discipline includes the wisdom to maintain sustainable practice over a lifetime, not just to demonstrate extreme effort in isolated instances. Masanori completes a reduced training session, enough to maintain his routine, but not so much that he risks injury or excessive depletion. He finds that this moderate approach, while initially feeling like a compromise, actually allows him to maintain better focus and quality of technique than if he had pushed through with full intensity. This, too, is a lesson. Sometimes less is actually more, particularly when approached with wisdom and proper understanding of one's goals. After training, Masanori heads to the administrative building to begin his official duties. The work today includes reviewing the inspector's report from Yamada Village. The inspector has confirmed that storm damage did indeed reduce the harvest significantly, and the villagers' petition was truthful. Masanori prepares his recommendation to the Lord, suggesting a 25% reduction in this year's tax assessment for Yamada Village, with the understanding that they will work to restore full production next year. He documents his reasoning carefully, showing how this mercy serves the Lord's long-term interests by maintaining the villagers' ability to produce and their loyalty to the domain. The work is detailed and requires concentration, but Masanori finds himself managing it effectively despite his fatigue. The mental discipline he has cultivated through years of training allows him to focus when necessary, even when not at his physical best. At midday, Sato Hideaki stops by his office to discuss preparations for the upcoming martial demonstration. "I thought we might begin practicing together as we discussed, perhaps tomorrow evening if you are available." "Tomorrow evening would be excellent. My schedule is clear after the regular training session." "Good. I have been thinking about what to demonstrate. The Lord expects excellence, and we should choose techniques that showcase our skills while also being appropriate for public viewing." They discuss various options, weighing the advantages and challenges of different demonstrations. Should they perform solo kata or paired exercises? Should they demonstrate basic fundamental techniques or more advanced applications? Each choice has implications for how they will be judged. I think paired kata would be most impressive. It demonstrates not just individual skill, but also coordination and timing between partners. And it provides visual interest for spectators who may not fully understand the subtleties of solo forms. I agree. Let us plan to demonstrate the 5 classical paired kata from our school. They progress nicely in complexity and should take approximately the right amount of time. Excellent. We should practice not just the techniques themselves, but also our presentation, the formal bows, the spacing, the timing. Every aspect will be evaluated. As they finalize their plans, Masanori reflects on how even this demonstration, this public performance, relates to deeper principles of Bushido. It is not about showing off or seeking personal glory. It is about honoring one's teachers by demonstrating what they taught, about representing one's school with accuracy and skill, and about demonstrating that the martial spirit of the domain remains unbroken. Precisely, Hideaki agrees. We are not merely performers, we are guardians of a tradition. The audience must feel the reality of our combat readiness, even in a demonstration. They bow to one another, concluding their planning session. I look forward to our practice tomorrow evening, Hideaki says. As do I, Masanori replies. As Hideaki departs, Masanori turns back to his desk to organize his final papers for the day. The afternoon sun has begun to dip lower, casting long shadows across the administrative compound. The fatigue from his night watch lingers, a dull weight in his limbs, but his mind remains clear. He places his seal, his hanko, on the final document, locking away the scrolls and brushes with deliberate care. The administrative day is done, but for the samurai, the cultivation of the spirit continues until sleep claims him. Chapter 9, The Way of Tea and Twilight, 150 to 170. Leaving the castle, Masanori does not head directly home. Instead, he directs his steps toward a small, secluded structure located in a quiet corner of the castle gardens, a place he has permission to use due to his rank and his long-standing dedication to the arts. It is a chashitsu, a tea house. The path to the tea house is designed to facilitate a shedding of the world's cares. It winds through a grove of bamboo, the wind rustling the leaves with a sound like whispering silk. He steps onto the roji, the dewy path of stepping stones. These stones are uneven, forcing one to walk slowly, to look down, to pay attention to each step. It is a physical transition from the busy, administrative world of the castle to a realm of pure spirit. At the entrance of the tea house stands a stone water basin, the tsukubai. Masanori kneels. He takes the bamboo ladle, fills it with water, and washes his left hand, then his right, then rinses his mouth, and finally washes the handle of the ladle for the next person. This is misogi, a ritual purification. He is washing away not just the dust of the town, but the dust of the mind, the calculations of taxes, the strategies of sword fighting, the fatigue of the night watch. He enters the tea house through the Nijiriguchi, a small, low door that requires even the mightiest warrior to crawl through on hands and knees. This architecture is intentional and profound. Inside the tea room, rank does not exist. The daimyo and the retainer, the rich and the poor, all must bow to enter. Inside, there is only host and guest, human and human. Today, Masanori is alone. He will perform the ceremony for himself, a practice known as jigeiko. The room is small, 4.5 tatami mats in size, the ideal dimensions established by the great tea master Sen no Rikyu nearly a century ago. The light is dim, filtering through paper screens. In the alcove, a single flower rests in a vase, a camellia bud, wet with dew, capturing the essence of the season. He sits in seiza before the hearth, where the charcoal fire glows softly. The water in the iron kettle, the kama, is already simmering. The sound of the boiling water is described in tea poetry as wind in the pines, a sound meant to evoke a lonely mountain hut, pulling the mind further into tranquility. Masanori begins the ritual. Every movement is prescribed, efficient, and beautiful. There is no wasted motion. This is the essence of chanoyu, the way of tea, but it mirrors the essence of swordsmanship perfectly. In both, the goal is fluid, thoughtless efficiency. He purifies the tea container, natsume, and the bamboo tea scoop, chashaku, with a silk cloth, fukusa.
He examines the utensils as if seeing them for the first time, appreciating their shape, their glaze, their imperfections. This is wabi-sabi, the appreciation of the rustic, the weathered, the imperfect. A pristine, perfect bowl is cold. A bowl with a slight asymmetry has a soul. He scoops the powdered green tea, matcha, into the bowl. He ladles hot water from the kettle. Steam rises, carrying the grassy, earthy scent of the tea. He takes the bamboo whisk, chasen, and begins to mix the tea and water. The whisking is rhythmic, a vigorous back and forth motion that creates a frothy, jade-green foam on the surface of the liquid. He sets the whisk down. He lifts the bowl with his right hand, places it on his left palm. He bows to the empty space where a guest would be, acknowledging the interconnectedness of all things. He turns the bowl twice clockwise to avoid drinking from the decorative front, a gesture of humility. He drinks. The tea is bitter, hot, and thick. It jolts the senses. He wipes the rim of the bowl, turns it back counterclockwise, and places it down. For a long time, Masanori simply sits.
The silence in the room is absolute, save for the simmering kettle and the beating of his own heart. In this space, the principles of wa, ki, sei, jaku, harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility are not abstract concepts. They are the reality of the moment. Here, the fatigue of the night watch finally leaves him, replaced not by sleep, but by a deep, resonant energy. The tea ceremony reminds him that the samurai is not a machine of war, but a human being capable of immense refinement. The sword takes life, the tea preserves spirit. Both are necessary to the way. As he cleans the utensils, putting everything back exactly where it belongs, he practices zanshin, lingering awareness. One does not simply finish a task and walk away. One completes it fully, the mind remaining with the action until the very end. He crawls out of the small door, stands, and looks back at the tea house. The sun has set. The sky is a deep indigo, the transition between day and night complete. He bows one last time to the space that granted him peace and turns toward home. Chapter 10, The Cycle Completes, 100 to 180. The walk home is done under the cover of early evening. Lanterns are being lit throughout the town, small spheres of warm orange light pushing back the darkness. The smell of grilled fish and miso soup wafts from the houses he passes, the scent of domestic peace that his sword is sworn to protect. He arrives at his gate. Ayame greets him, sensing the shift in his mood. The tension of the morning is gone. The exhaustion of the afternoon has been transmuted into calm. "You look refreshed, my husband," she notes as she takes his outer coat. "The tea house was quiet," he replies simply. "The wind in the pines was clear today." There is no need for more words. She understands. The evening meal is finished. The bath is taken. The household settles into the quiet rhythm of the night. Takeshi and Hanako have retired to their sleeping quarters. The house is still. Masanori sits on the veranda, the engawa, looking out at his garden one last time. The moon has risen, the same moon he watched during his guard duty the night before. It reflects in the small pond, a perfect circle of white light dancing on the dark water. He thinks of the proverb hanging in his room, "Fall 7 times, stand up 8." Today, he fell to fatigue, but stood up through discipline. He fell to the weight of administrative burden, but stood up through the clarity of the tea ceremony. The samurai life is not about being perfect. It is about the constant act of rising. It is about the trying. He considers the day in its entirety. It was not a day of glorious battle. No enemies were defeated, no great speeches made. It was a day of tax reports, of repetitive sword swings, of fighting the urge to sleep, of whisking tea. It was an ordinary day. And yet, in the philosophy of the Edo period, this is where the true victory lies. To live an ordinary day with extraordinary mindfulness. To treat a tax document with the same seriousness as a battle plan. To treat a bowl of tea with the same reverence as a sword. To treat one's wife with the same respect as one's lord.
This is the substance of peace. This is the weight of the Pax Tokugawa, a peace maintained not just by laws, but by the collective discipline of thousands of men like Takeda Masanori, holding themselves to a standard that others cannot see. He slides the shoji screen shut, sealing the house against the night. He extinguishes the final lamp. Darkness returns, just as it was when we began our journey 3 hours ago. But it is not a darkness of emptiness. It is a darkness of rest, of recovery, of potential. Masanori lies down on his futon. His swords are at his side. His breathing slows. In 6 hours, the temple bell will ring. The sun will rise. The discipline will begin again. The way of the warrior is not a destination. It is a circle. And tomorrow, Takeda Masanori will walk it once more. Sleep well, samurai.